It's 5 o'clock, and I'm calling this meeting to order. We're going to begin with a moment of silence and the pledge by Ms. Satterfield.
The pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any elected officials here that I've overlooked? All right, seeing none. Board members, a couple of announcements here. You have a hard copy of Policy B 110, Method of Election of Officers, at your seat for your review. And according to this policy, I am requesting a called meeting to be scheduled Wednesday, September 4th at 4:30 for our annual reorganization. Then our newly elected chair and vice chair will take their seats at the regular session meeting on September 11th. So Wednesday the 4th, before our scheduled workshop, we'll start 30 minutes early and have the special called meeting. All right, are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Norman, second by Horn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Ms. Horn, I believe you have a special recognition.
Yes, ma'am, I do. Thank you very much. The Prudential Spirit of Community Awards were created in 1995 by Prudential Financial in partnership with the National Association of Secondary School Principals to honor middle and high school level students who make meaningful contributions to their communities through volunteer service. Over the past 24 years, more than 125,000 young volunteers at the local, state, and national level have been recognized in the United States, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Ireland, India, China, and Brazil. And the program is supported by the American Association of School Administrators, National School Boards Association, Council of Great City Schools, National School Public Relations Association, Association for Middle Level Education, America's Promised Alliance, United National Indian Tribal Youth, National Parent-Teacher Association, and the National Association for Music Education. Each year, applications are open in early September through early November to students in grades 5 through 12 in all 50 United States and the District of Columbia. Applications are certified for state-level judging by school principals and local chapters of the program's 5 participating organizations, including the Girl Scouts of the USA, National 4-H Council, American Red Cross, Points of Light's Hands-On Network, and the YMCA of the USA. After the student application deadline, participating schools and organizations select local honorees, and in February, the top mid-level and high school volunteer in each state and the District of Columbia are named state honorees, with 2 to 10 runners-up in each state named as distinguished finalists. The 234 distinguished finalists each receive bronze medallions. I am so proud to recognize our very own Rebecca Fisher, recent graduate of Farragut High School, as one of the distinguished finalists. Rebecca was a sophomore in high school when she was selected to represent Farragut at the U. O'Brien Youth Leadership Seminar. At the seminar, she learned about the importance of civic engagement and community involvement and about how one person can make a difference. Because of her experience, Rebecca was inspired to create the Farragut Leadership Series, where once per semester, local leaders come to speak about their paths to success. The series has included former Knox County Mayor Tim Burchett, former UT Chancellor Beverly Davenport, TBI Director David Roush, founder and CEO of the Trust Company Sharon Price, and the founder of the Restoration House, Daniel Watson. Rebecca's creation of the Farragut Leadership Series was intended to expand the minds of students to a bigger idea that no matter what you are passionate about, you can find a way to serve your community and be involved. Even though Rebecca graduated this past May, we know that she will continue to make an impact at Farragut High School and the whole Knoxville community through her efforts. Prudential not only wanted to recognize Rebecca's passion with their Spirit of Community Award, but also desired to share the good news about her impact on our world. I am very honored to present Rebecca with her bronze medallion and our certificate of recognition. So, sweet Rebecca, who I've watched grow up for the past 4 years, would you join me on stage, please?
Thank you for being here tonight, Rebecca. It's always exciting to acknowledge our outstanding students that are or were in Knox County schools, so congratulations to you. Next on our agenda is introduction of aspiring principal program participants. I was very excited when I came in to see some familiar faces from some of my schools, and welcome them being here, and we'll turn this over to Mr. Rodney Russell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, superintendent. It is a privilege to introduce to you our 12 aspiring principal program members. They have already been at work. They've already began to gel as a group, and I think that you're going to hear great things out of them for this coming year. They will continue to work together, meeting at least once a month as a cohort, and they will also spend time visiting some of our exemplary principals throughout the district. At this time, I'd like to ask if the board chair and the superintendent would come to the front. I'd like to introduce the candidates to you all as well. Melissa Glover. Ms. Glover has spent a total of 17 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at Hardin Valley Middle School. Before moving into administration, Ms. Glover served as a teacher at Farragut High School and an assistant principal at Powell High School and Austin East Magnet High School. Ms. Shawn Smith. Ms. Shawn Smith has spent a total of 34 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at Copper Ridge Elementary School. Before moving into administration, Ms. Smith served as a kindergarten, second grade, and lead teacher in Knoxville City and Knox County schools. Mr. David Combs. Mr. David Combs has spent a total of 20 years in education. He currently serves as assistant principal at Hardin Valley Academy. Before moving into administration, Mr. Combs served as social studies teacher, department chair, and academy dean at Hardin Valley Academy. Ms. Melissa Walsh. Ms. Walsh has spent a total of 10 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at the L&N STEM Academy. Before moving into administration, Ms. Walsh served as an English teacher and TAP master teacher at Carter High School in the Knox County schools. Ms. Erin Brown. Ms. Brown has spent a total of 13 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at Carter High School. Before moving into administration, Ms. Erin Brown served as an English teacher and dean at Fulton High School. Dr. Rachel Harmon. Ms. Harmon has spent a total of 11 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at West Valley Middle. Before moving into administration, Ms. Harmon served as a TPAC coach and high school English teacher in the Knox County Schools. Dr. Rebecca Curtis. Dr. Curtis is starting her 18th year in education. She currently serves as an assistant principal at Sarahmore Green Magnet Academy. Before moving into administration, Dr. Curtis served as a TPAC numeracy coach at Green Magnet Academy and as a master teacher and art teacher at Hoston Middle School. She began her career at Churchill Middle School in Hawkins County. Dr. Toby Kilgore. Dr. Kilgore has spent a total of 10 years in education. He currently serves as an assistant principal at Northwest Middle School. Before moving into administration, Dr. Kilgore served as a social studies teacher and coach in the Knox County Schools. Ms. Yolanda Williams. Ms. Yolanda Williams has spent a total of 19 years in education. She currently serves as an assistant administrator at West Hills Elementary School. Before moving into administration, Ms. Williams served as a 5th grade teacher and lead teacher at Carnes Elementary in the Knox County Schools. She most recently served as a representative, as the 2018-2019 SCORE Fellow and Tennessee State Standards Facilitator. Ms. Tracy Polson. Ms. Tracy Polson has spent a total of 24 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at West High School. Before moving into administration, Ms. Polson served as biology and earth science teacher in Knox County Schools and the Oak Ridge School System. Dr. Charlene Lewis. Dr. Lewis has spent a total of 17 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at Northwest Middle School. Before moving into administration, Dr. Lewis served as an English teacher and ACT coach in Hamilton County Schools and TAP master teacher in Knox County Schools. And finally, got to you, Jessica. Jessica McDonald. Ms. McDonald has spent a total of 13 years in education. She currently serves as assistant principal at Bearden Middle School. Before moving into administration, Ms. McDonald served as a master teacher and math teacher at Hoston Middle School. She began her teaching career at Horizon Science Academy in Cincinnati, Ohio. As board members, as you can see, this group there's a lot of experience, a lot of diversity in those experience, and I am very pleased to present them to you today.
And Mr. Russell, with your permission, I have told them that they can all leave after they've been introduced. I know you've already had a very long day, so please feel free if you need to move on out. All right, we are moving on to our agenda items. Ms. Coatney?
Item 6, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Norman, second by Satterfield. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7A, approve second reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy B180, Public Forum as amended.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Norman, second by Horn. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7B, approve second reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy C180, Advertising and Solicitation in Schools as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Norman, second by Owen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7C, approve second reading of new Knox County Board of Education Policy C181, Political Solicitation.
So moved.
Motion by Norman, second by Owen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
7D, approve second reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy D130, Donation, Gifts, and Bequests as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Norman, second by Owen. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7E, approve second reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy D241, Internal School Funds as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Norman, second by Owen. Discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7F, approve second reading to rescind Knox County Board of Education Policy F170, Board Acceptance of New Facilities.
So moved.
Motion by Norman, second by Owen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
7G, approve second reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy J240, Use of Personal Communication Devices in School as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Satterfield, second by Owen. Is there discussion? Mr. Norman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to speak up again for that version of the policy, which is really the middle school policy. And so still feel like that's best for us academically. In talking to a principal, one of our high school principals this week, he noted that probably somewhere around 70% of his discipline issues are related to phone use, and that in a perfect world, he would say no phones. So I think we have that ability, and we should exercise that ability given the way students are, their lack of boundaries. We need to help them. I think we should do that. So I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. Mr. McMillan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with what Mr. Norman's saying, and I realize we are in the minority here, but there was some discussion of maybe letting them use phones during the lunch break, and I could accept that. But I just don't think they should be using them during or have them out during class time or between classes, because it has a tendency to probably make them late to class, or they walk in talking on the phone. And as far as certain teachers wanting them to use them periodically, and not every day, but periodically, in class, the principal, I believe, would have the discretion to, or his designee would have the discretion to, approve that. So I think that would take care I think it would be a good policy if something like that were adopted. But, thank you.
Are you proposing a amendment?
No, I wasn't really proposing an amendment. I mean, I guess I could, and we can vote on it. I'm sure it'll get voted down because there are too many kids that are, wanting, I've got to call my parents, or the parents need to call. And, to be honest, I don't mean to insult anybody, but a lot of us are too weak to not stand up, really, for the thing. I'm sorry if I stepped on anybody's toes. We can try that if you want it. We can get it voted down. I'll try it as an amendment if somebody will second it.
I'll second.
Okay. All
right, so we have, yeah, that's just what I was going to do. We have a amended motion on the floor to allow cell phone use during lunch.
During lunch, and as far as, that's the only time other than class time, as approved by the principal's designee. There was some discussion about some classes that they need to do it, and I'm talking about, it would need to be done on a kind of an individual basis, not that, we approved Miss Smith's class to use cell phones the month of February. It's not that type of thing.
All right.
Is that acceptable, Mr. Dupler?
If I may, Madam Chair.
Please.
So as I understand it, Mr. McMillan, I mean, you are asking for an amendment to strike the current use by students in the high school, grades 9 through 12, and replace that with the language in the grades 6 through 8 with the addition of students may use the devices during lunch period, correct?
Right. That pretty much gets it, I believe. Thank you.
All right, Mr. McMillan, if I may read to you the proposed policy. Students may possess PCDs while on school property. The devices may be used before and after school, during lunch periods, and during class change times. At any other times, the PCDs must be in silent mode. The principal or principal's designee may grant a student permission to use the PCD during class time for a specific academic purpose, or at other times for other purposes that the principal deems appropriate. So it appears the language is already in the proposed policy for usage at lunch.
I have no problem with before and after school. I'm just not sure that they should be using them between classes. I mean, if it's something really important, why, you can go to the office, or you'll find some way to do it, or the parent will find some way to contact them. That's just my opinion. Of course, it's been a long time since I was in the classroom, so I'm sure things have changed and everything, but I do think we need to be a little more firm with some of our policies, because the policies are only as strong as the people who we designate to enforce them. And, from a principal standpoint, if they don't have the support of teachers and they know that, we're going to enforce this, then you might as well not have any policy at all. Thank you.
All right. It sounds like what I'm hearing you say then is your objection after reading what's proposed, is the during class change times. Is that correct?
I don't really think that, yeah, that's the biggest thing.
All right. Would you like to, well, there's a second on
Well,
the,
I can withdraw, and I'm sure Tony will withdraw his second. Is that okay with you?
That's okay.
And we'll just make it, would that cover everything, Mr. Dupler? If we just change the policy to cover class changes?
May I, Madam Chair? Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. McMillan. The other change that I believe you're proposing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but the other difference between middle school and high school is that in middle school, the device must remain off, whereas in high school, it has to be in the silent mode. So,
No, it needs to
so
be
that's
off.
the other change. Okay.
It needs to be off.
So again, my take on it is that you are asking to amend the high school to the middle school policy, with the only addition being that they may be used during the lunch period. That sounds like your
Okay.
proposal. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
all right. So are you, do we have an amendment to the motion?
I'll
then?
make the motion as per what Mr. Dupler said, and see if Mr. Norman will second it there.
That's fine. I'll second.
All right. So Ms. Coatney, can you restate the amended motion?
Approve second reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy J240, use of personal communication devices in schools, as amended with the language for grades 9 through 12 being deleted and replaced with grades 6 through 8 with the addition of language for using the device during lunch periods.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Ms. Horn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree that I think that this is an issue that we need to be discussing. I think that we need to have some serious conversation over this school year with our principals, because I think you're right, Mr. McMillan. If we don't have buy-in, it's going to be difficult to enforce this policy. So I would like to see us have some serious discussions with our principals about this topic and get some, and I think that, and I'm glad you're okay with the way the language is worded about the academic purpose, because I don't think that we need to make it too restrictive so that teachers would have to approach a principal every time they wanted to use the students to use the phone for an academic purpose. So I think that needs to be pretty broad so that they have that decision in the schools.
For a month, you wouldn't have any problem with them using it like the entire month?
I think it's difficult for even a principal to know what a teacher is going to need to use on a weekly basis. A teacher may need students to be able to access information, because we don't have computers in all the schools. So even if the teachers checked out computers for their class, there could still be kids that need to have access. So I just don't think we should limit that.
I can see several days, but a week. How hard is it to ask once a week? If it's that hard, why you're too busy. All you got to do is call and find out.
Yeah.
I agree with what while I'm talking here, even though I wasn't recognized. I want to
ahead,
respond to what you said.
Okay.
And the only problem that I have with a serious discussion is, my experience is, it seldom ever brings serious results. But if you invoke something, the people that it's imposed on adapt to it. And I think that it would be better to adapt something. This is not like they can't have them on campus or anything. This is a very reasonable, I think, policy of what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think that you know, we could go with it. We can always, if it's a problem, we can always rescind it. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry
okay.
to interrupt you.
Thank you. I do think that this is an issue that, that our principals need to understand, that teachers need to be able to count on their principal to back up whatever guidelines they've put in place in the classroom. And another concern that I have is approving something like this now when school's already started. So I think we should have done it before school started if we were going to do a major change like that. So I don't disagree with you. I just think that it's difficult at this point where we are in the school year and in the environment.
So difficult. What is so difficult?
I would love to hear from other board members.
Ms. Owen?
I agree with Ms. Horn that this is a very late change since we have already started school. Handbooks have been printed and, expectations have already been expressed to students. And so that's difficult to go back and change that at this point. Also, our first reading was basically cosmetic changes. So if we were to approve this, I think it would need to be back to a first reading rather than a second reading. Also, for some clarification, can someone tell me, are we only changing lines 36 through 42, or are we changing everything for all students? Are we talking about all students, or is this just high school students?
I mean,
Go ahead,
I can
Mr.
respond. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Owen, it's my understanding that according to the way Mr. McMillan has proposed the amended motion, that the only section that would change would be, as you stated, what I'm looking at would be 38 through 42, and you would carry the middle school policy down to that section and then add the lunch period.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Thomas, could I get you to address what I understand the discussion was at the high school principals meeting or high school leadership meeting?
At the request of the board back several weeks, a couple months ago, I guess by this point now, we did take the policy to the Principal Advisory Council and got their approval for what is being proposed tonight. So, John, you may want to jump in on that, but I mean, again, we had lots of conversation about it, and the principals were comfortable with the policy that's in front of you.
Superintendent is correct. It was taken to them to read, and there was a lot of discussion about some of the things, everyone's talking about, the policing of cell phones and all those kinds of things. But in the end, the Principal Advisory Council did come to the conclusion that this gave the maximum flexibility for them to use what they wanted. And then also the Teacher Advisory Council, same thing, a lot of the same conversation around that, but their recommendation at the end was that, this provided both the ability for the school to restrict and or allow, and there were good cases made for all of that. So that was, I think, the reason that they felt that way.
All right, thank you. Mr. Norman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that Mr. McMillan's amendment's probably not going to go, but the discussion's good in that given the timing this year, and it would be tough to change until the kids know you're not going to have your phone, period. I'm sure that would be a riot. So I think it would be wise for the board to keep this in front of us and seriously consider the policy the part of the policy that I proposed to be installed next year, and us to make a vote on it during this year so that the schools could accommodate the change and get kids ready for the change. So I'll keep bringing it up. I think there's a wave of sentiment against too much tech We have parents that request no tech and want their students to be completely void of all this stuff, all this techie stuff that's going on in the various allures and attractions of those things. So I think we should keep doing it, keep bringing it up and talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Owen?
Just another clarifying question. Dr. Reiswick, the principals agreed to the printed version that we have, the previous motion. Is that correct?
Thank you, Ms. Owen. Correct, with just the minor changes for spelling and I think a new header that was added.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no further lights, we're voting on Mr. McMillan's amendment. Amendment to the motion. All in favor?
Could we have a roll?
Roll call.
Yeah, please.
Yes, certainly, Mr. Norman. Ms. Coatney?
Ms. Satterfield?
No.
Ms. Owen?
No.
Mr. Norman?
Yes.
Ms. Babb? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Bounds? Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Ms. Christie? No. Ms. Horn?
No.
Ms. Hill?
No.
That's 6 no votes and 2 yes votes.
All right. Going back then to the original motion for the second reading of the policy change, we have a first and a second, and I'll ask for a roll call vote again.
Ms. Satterfield?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Mr. Norman?
No.
Ms. Bounds?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
No.
Ms. Christie?
Yes.
Ms. Horn?
Yes.
Ms. Hill?
Yes.
And that's 6 yes votes and 2 no votes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Coatney?
Yes, that motion passes.
Yes. Thank you.
Item 8A, approve elementary school dental program agreement and Elgin Children's Foundation grant for student transportation costs associated with the program up to $6,000 for the term of July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Norman, second by Satterfield. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
9A, approve contract with Advanced Boiler and Combustion Incorporated for provision of commercial boiler services up to $150,000 annually as needed, using general purpose maintenance and operation funds.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Norman, second by Satterfield. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10A, approve community tectonics architect schematic design for additions and renovations to Powell High School.
Second.
Motion by Bounds, second by Norman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As a side note to this, I had asked for a update on our current capital plan, and after some discussion and some things that have not quite been finalized, we will have that discussion, I am hoping, at our September workshop. So that has not been forgotten, it's just been delayed. All right. Seeing nothing else, do we have any public forum?
No public forum this evening, Madam Chair.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.